No, they were disappointed they didn't win. I think the one game that I think our players will truly tell you they were disappointed how they played this year was Boise. And that was because when they went out there a year ago, that was a very winnable game. And so, there's going to be a little bit of familiarity with the blue turf, which I think helps us. I think if you go out there for the first time and you've never been on it, and I've never been on it, and you watch those games on ESPN on the blue turf, and your eyes are constantly trying to pick up. It's different, and so I think it also helps that unlike a normal game that you're on the road in an away game, usually we get there the day before and we do a half an hour walkthrough. We're going to be able to go there and practice on that field for 3 or 4 days, and the fact that our players played there last year, I think, will help us.
This game's on the 30th, like between New Year's and Christmas. How does this affect you? You traditionally celebrate the holidays with family.
There's no vacation this year. I mean, we'll be working over Christmas through Christmas, and I don't want to be Scrooge, but it's hard to not be working 5 days before a game. And the truth of it is, if we weren't working, I wouldn't be able to enjoy it. That you're so close to the game, and you just, so we're going to come up with a schedule today that we do give our players some break time and some time off. But again, at the same time, that our timing and our practice routine for a game is very similar to what we did in the season. So we're going to handle this a lot like we would maybe the Buffalo game that we had a 10-day period from Central Michigan to Buffalo. So we got a couple of extra practices in. We had a little bit more time to prepare. And so we're going to handle this almost like an extended bye week. In between now and that 10-day period, we're just practicing it 2 or 3 times a week and trying to keep the timing and the rhythm. Football, you can't not play football for 2 weeks and pick up. You just can't do that. So we're practicing on the weekends. We recruit during the week. And, we'll begin our bowl preparation. Staff-wise, as our players start finals, once finals is over, we'll start our game preparation with the team.
Coach, have you ever been to Idaho?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I was. This is not a good memory. In 1993, I was the running backs coach at Lehigh University, and Idaho at the time was coached by John L. Smith. Doug Nussmeier was their quarterback. They were loaded. They were one of the best teams in the country. And at Lehigh, we were a non-scholarship program, and they somehow got on our schedule at Idaho. So we flew to Idaho. The buses got stuck in a snowstorm going up a mountain, so we just sat there for 2 hours. And that was the good part of the trip, because once the game started, they beat us pretty good. And that was at the University of Idaho in the Kibbie Dome. And so that was the one time I was in Idaho. But their quarterback at the time was Doug Nussmeier. And, I forget, they scored like 60 or 70 points on us. And we threw the ball around pretty well. But we were completely overmatched. It was really a game we probably had no business playing. It was almost like a guarantee game. And after the game, they asked Nussmeier, they said, when did you feel this game was in hand and you were in good shape? And he goes, at the coin flip. He goes, I looked at their captains, I looked at their sidelines, and I told the boys, guys, we're okay. And he was accurate, because it was not much of a game.
What's your thoughts about the fact that 5 MAC teams are playing in bowls, and what's that say about the conference?
I mean, I think it speaks volumes for the conference. You don't get to a game like this unless you do one of two things. You perform really well in the conference, or you win some big out-of-conference games. And obviously we needed every win to get here. So, and the thing I'm proud of, too, is, there's 5 fourth-quarter wins. There's a win against Troy, who, I keep bringing this up, is a 9-3 football team that won a conference championship, and their only other 2 losses were to Arkansas and Florida. So it took some legwork to get here. We certainly did not back into this. And I think the other teams in the MAC can say the same thing. Certainly Northern Illinois needed their win over Purdue to get here. And, Ohio had some tough wins. And, and I think, and I've talked to some of the coaches in the league that have been through this. And we all pull for each other because, we know a year ago the MAC did not perform very well in the bowls. And, when we get a stage like this, an opportunity like this, that we really want to represent the league well. So next year and the year after that, teams want MAC teams in their bowls so they know that they're going to get a good football game against a good team. And, I'm certainly hoping what our players to some degree feel they need to atone for what happened 2 years ago.
Talk about the excitement of the Biletnikoff Award coming up and everything. Now that it's here, what does this whole thing mean for the program, and what has Freddie meant for the program?
Most importantly, I'm going to be in 70-degree weather tomorrow, so we're flying down tomorrow, and I think that'll be a great experience. And it's awesome. First of all, Freddie's very deserving of it. What would we be like without Freddie? What he's meant to our football team this year and meant to our football program, he deserves it. In some ways, I feel Tyler Sheen should be at this event too, right next to Freddie, because he was instrumental in this happening. And then you expand the table, and the offensive line should be there. But people, this is big. If you look at all the major player awards, the Biletnikoff Award and the Groza Award and the Remington Award, all these major awards that are going to get given out tomorrow, there's 13 teams in the MAC. There's probably 14 to 1,500 players who play in the MAC. There's going to be one MAC player at this event tomorrow, and that's Bowling Green's Freddie Barnes. So we're proud of him. It's great for our program. When college football fans all across the country are watching that show tomorrow night, there'll be one player from the MAC there, and he'll get up, and everyone will get to see Freddie. So it's great. We're really proud of him. He deserves it, and we'd love to see him win it. But regardless of whether he wins it or not, it's a great accomplishment for him and our program.
What do you think are his chances of winning it?
Right now, 1 in 3. And those other guys are really good players too. When the list came out of the top 10, I thought it would have been a shame and wrong if Freddie wasn't in the top 3, because to me he clearly belonged in that group. Shipley and Tate, those guys are great players in their own right. And obviously I'm biased. I think Freddie deserves it. I'd love to see him win it. But you can't be saying it was an unfair process, however it breaks.
I don't know how many guys from the WAC are going to be there, but one of the guys from the WAC, I just forgot his name, Idaho's guard, going to take a opportunity to go up and shake his hand and try and speak to him a little bit.
Yeah, find out what their first play is. So, no, I know he's a good player. I know that he's projected to go fairly high in the NFL draft. I think he's, from what I understand, he could be a first-day guy or an early second-day guy. So he's supposed to be an outstanding player, and from what I've heard, their quarterback is really good. Everyone says they got some really, really big wideouts, 6'4", 6'5" guys that can go up and get the ball, and they're really physical on the O-line, and everything I've heard from them. And a little bit as I talked to Coach Kill at Northern Illinois, and he said they're an excellent football team. He said they're really well coached. He goes, and they're very explosive on offense. They can score a bunch of points in a hurry.
Have you been trading